I make wedding dresses for a living, and my entitled sister-in-law thinks that she can get one out of me for free just because we're family, but there's a secret twist to this story. You will not believe the material she wants me to make it out of.
I think it's insanity to always expect people to offer their services to you for free, especially because you're family or because they agreed to offer free services in the past. My sister-to-be, Sophie, had always been a part of our lives, and she had been dating my brother for more than 4 years, and she was considered a member of our family. The thing is, Sophie had the mentality of giving things to people only to receive something in return, and it's affected our relationship sometimes. Aside from this, she was generally a nice person and everyone liked her. Although we had our ups and downs at times, it wasn't something we could not fix. Well, one of the things that brought Sophie and I together was that she was a fashion lover, and I happened to be a fashion designer. Making dresses and beautiful pieces was what I loved to do since childhood. After graduating from college, I had to pursue my passion. Lucky for me, things turned out well since I was a natural at designing clothing, and I got the opportunity to work with one of the top fashion houses in my state. And because I was so skilled and creative at my craft, Sophie was closer to me than my other sisters, so I could make free dresses for her. Making free dresses for my brother's girlfriend was never a big deal because I also made dresses for the rest of my family members. For once, I never complained about making her dresses because we got along very well, and at the same time, she would wear my dresses and advertise them on her social media as her way of showing a bit of appreciation. She was a popular social media influencer by profession, and this helped in giving me good exposure. Initially, we never agreed upon making dresses for her, so she would advertise them. It was her idea, and she said it would help me sell my brand and get the right audience, and her influence yielded positive results. Because of her constant advertisement and shout-outs, I did get a lot of referrals and well-paying clients, and business boomed. In the second year of their relationship, my brother and Sophie were so sure that they would be getting married to each other. I don't know how they knew it, they just did. And each time they said this, Sophie would always tell me that I would be the one to make her wedding dress for her because she loved my creativity and she did not think anyone else would deliver so well like I did. In the past, I had only made 2 wedding dresses with the help of my team, and anyone who has handmade a wedding dress can attest to the fact that it takes a long time, creativity, and skills to meet your client's expectations. The first time my sister-in-law, Sophie, told me I'd be the one to make her wedding dress, I was glad. Even without telling me, I knew she would want a sophisticated, complex design, and I was eagerly waiting for the time to come. Aside from telling me that I'd be the one to make her wedding dress, Sophie also told my older brother, the rest of my family, and her online fans too. On my end, I also had an online Instagram and Facebook fan base, so people knew and trusted my work. I imagine that making Sophie's gown would shoot me out into the world because she had a very large fan base. I'll also admit that Sophie's constant advertisement and putting my dress designs in the spotlight helped grow my fan base, and most of the people she referred to became long-term clients. About 3 months ago, my brother and Sophie announced over a family dinner that he was going to engage Sophie, and everyone was so happy for them. 2 weeks after the announcement, my brother proposed to Sophie in grand style. Their engagement video went absolutely viral because of Sophie's popularity. All this while, I did not know that they had already picked a wedding date, and that meant we all had less than 3 months to make the wedding preparations. Also, Sophie reminded me that I was making her wedding dress, and I was so excited to finally have the opportunity. As a concerned friend pulled out about 15 of the best trending wedding gown designs, from Instagram and Pinterest and whatnot, so Sophie could pick a style. I knew picking and deciding on a style with Sophie would not be the easiest thing, and it wasn't. She was the kind of person who loved custom pieces, so the whole world could see her and admire her dress. For almost a week, Sophie and I deliberated on the design that would suit her body size and shape. It was a really difficult thing because she was confused. She didn't know if she wanted a ball gown or a body-fitted gown, and after hours of going through 3 different wedding catalogs for ball gowns, she finally picked one. After she picked the ball gown that she loved, we had to deal with the design she wanted for the upper part of the gown. And she chose stones. Expensive, blinky stones that would announce her presence once she entered the wedding hall. After we concluded on what she wanted for her wedding gown, Sophie mentioned that she watched a beautiful wedding video on Facebook and was thinking of making another gown for her wedding reception. I was surprised because she had never mentioned a reception or after-party gown, and by this time my table was already full of other people's work. And I didn't want to disappoint her. I told Sophie that I could only make her wedding dress available at least a week before the wedding, but if she insisted that she wanted me to make her after-party dress, well, it honestly meant I would have to hasten to make her wedding dress so I could deliver her after-party dress a day or 2 before her wedding. As soon as I told her that, Sophie jumped in excitement and said she did not have a problem getting the after-party dress a day or 2 before her wedding. Regarding her after-party dress, we did not have to check out multiple designs. She already had the picture of the dress that she wanted saved on her phone. And the only thing I needed to do was buy a different fabric color and make a few tweaks to alter the original design. When I left Sophie's house that day, I went straight to the fabric store to calculate the cost of everything that she needed since we were making the dress from scratch. I calculated the cost of the fabric for both her wedding dress and after-party gown, and the cost of the particular stones that she wanted me to use on both dresses, and everything ran in thousands of dollars. After the calculation, I sent the cost of everything to Sophie on WhatsApp, and also added pictures of the fabric we decided upon. When she saw it, she reacted with a thumbs up emoji, and did not say anything else. I was actually thinking that she would add the cost of her dresses to her wedding plans, and would reach back out to me later that week, so I could shop for them and start making the wedding gown. After a week passed and I did not hear back from Sophie, I reached out to her. I tried to explain to her that I needed to start making the dress as soon as possible so it would come out the way she wanted. To my surprise, Sophie read the message and did not even respond to it, which was very unlike her, and to show how concerned I was, I called once and sent 2 more messages, and she still read them and did not respond. So I suspected that she was busy and did not have time to chat on WhatsApp, so she would likely call back or respond to my messages. 2 days after I sent her the messages and she did not respond, my brother dropped by our parents' house to pick something up he needed, and I talked to him about Sophie not responding to my messages or returning my calls. My brother was also surprised, and he said maybe she was overwhelmed with the wedding preparations and meetings, and that she must have forgotten to respond to my messages. I believed him and waited for Sophie to reach back. The next morning, Sophie called, and her first question was, and I quote, "How's it going with the wedding dress?" I was surprised at her question, and I asked her why she meant by that. Long story short, Sophie said she was expecting that I've gotten the fabric for the wedding dress and had already started to work on it. This came as a shock because there's no way I could afford to buy the fabric and stones for her 2 dresses on my own. Her response sounded funny at first, so I laughed. But when she did not laugh back, I knew she was serious. I told her over the phone that it was ridiculous for her to think I would buy the material with my money and start working when she did not give me any money. And she gets mad. She began to say something over the phone about me breaking our deal and how I was so unreliable. I did not understand what she was talking about, until it dawned on me that Sophie expected that I would buy the fabrics for her dress with her money. She even went as far as saying that everybody was making contributions to her wedding, so she expected me to buy the fabrics of her wedding dress as my own contribution to her wedding. Honestly, the whole conversation we had that day sounded like an absolute joke. I told her that I would not do such a thing because it was almost impossible for me. It wasn't like I had thousands of dollars stuck under my pillow or stashed of cash somewhere that I could easily go and get. As if all she had been saying was not enough, she told me that she did not make any budget for her wedding gown because I agreed to make it for her, and at this point another reality struck me. Sophie had no plans of paying me for the wedding dress or her after-party dress. All her expectations were that I'd use the money to get that kind of expensive fabric that she wanted, and that I would make the dress for free like I made, other simple dresses. At this point, I was livid. I told her she was joking if she expected me to make her buy her dress fabrics with my money and make her wedding dress for free. Immediately after I said that, she ended the call on me, and I did not bother calling her back. Throughout the day, I kept wondering where Sophie expected me to get such an amount of money. Meanwhile, I found out from my brother on the evening he dropped by our house that Sophie had booked one of the best event halls in our state. Also, she hired a well-known DJ to handle her wedding reception music. That's not all. She also paid a popular Instagram makeup artist who lived in another state to come and make, her makeup on her wedding day, among many other things. I felt like she was simply trying to take advantage of my kindness because I had been making free dresses for her in the past, and that's exactly what she was doing. She preferred to spend money on things, pay for 5 different flavors of cake from the best pastry shop and book a popular nail technician for her nails than to pay for her wedding dress. The funny thing was, she did not even realize that if she had no wedding dress, then her wedding would be incomplete, and all her plans to have a viral wedding would be ruined. After we had that call that day, I did not send her another message or say anything to her. We kept viewing each other's stories on Instagram and social media, and I watched as she announced all the important people that would be doing one thing or the other for her wedding. About a week after our last conversation, she called me again and said she wanted to get an update about her wedding gown. I politely told her that I was not making any wedding gown since she had not paid for the fabric or gotten the fabrics herself, and she started at me at the phone. She started to say, "So, after everything I've done for you, this is how you pay me back?" I did not understand her statement, and I asked her to be a bit more specific about what she meant. Over the phone, Sophie began to list all the clients she helped me get through her advertisements and, some loans that she gave me, which I paid back all the time. After I listened to her yell and rant on the phone, I told her I was the one who did most of the things for her because she never paid for any of the dresses that she wore. And it was not at all the times that she advertised my pieces. When Sophie heard that, she called me ungrateful and said that I was biting the finger that fed them. Then she said that she would report me to my brother and family since I was refusing to make her wedding gown as I promised. I thought she was joking when she said that she would tell my family, but she wasn't. Shortly after we ended the phone call, my mom, who was at home with me, called to ask why I refused to make Sophie's dress and that Sophie was crying on the phone about how I wanted to ruin her wedding. Around the same time, my brother called, and without letting me explain anything, he starts yelling. He said that I should have not promised Sophie that I would make her a wedding dress if I knew I would just disappoint. My older brother was someone who had bad anger issues, so I allowed him to talk and yell at me, and after he was done, he ended the call. I knew that if I tried to argue, it would only make things worse. I felt so bad about my brother yelling at me like that, But I was even more determined to not make Sophie's dress if she did not buy the fabrics and pay for my handiwork. Just like she had said, Sophie went ahead to call all my siblings, and she told everyone how I planned to ruin her wedding after all the promises that I've made. So far, I've explained everything to my mom, and she understands why I did not make the dress, but she still blamed me and said that I should have communicated with Sophie better instead of making her believe that I did not want to make the dress. I never told Sophie I did not want to make her dress, and I hate that she's telling everybody that part of the story. It's so annoying that she's lying to me after making such ridiculous demands. In the past few days, all 4 siblings have been calling and abusing me for refusing to make Sophie's dress. Well, my brother has been calling me all sorts of names without even hearing my side of the story, and I'm so sure Sophie has not told me the whole truth because, well, you would not even support such madness. As I mentioned earlier, I have no plans to make Sophie's dress or her after-party dress. Not after she succeeded in turning my family against me and painting me as the bad guy. So I'd love to ask everyone, why am I the a-hole for refusing to make Sophie's dress? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here, coming at you with update number 1 out of 4. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's jump right in it. Hey everyone, thanks for your comments. Yes, it's true that Sophie's trying to take advantage of me because it does not make sense for a bride to not have a budget for her wedding gown. This was supposed to be the first thing that she should have budgeted for, but because she thought I would make her wedding for free and buy the fabrics with my own money, she didn't bother. 2 days ago, my parents called for a meeting and Sophie and my brother were also in attendance. When she came, she kept up with an act of me refusing to make her wedding dress, but she didn't know I told my parents everything and they knew it was impossible for me to buy the fabrics and still make the dresses. Even my brother did not know that Sophie asked me to buy those expensive fabrics with my money, and when he found out from my mom, he was so mad. Instantly, he sided with me and said, no, that's absolutely insane of her to think I would just buy 2 different expensive fabrics with my money and still make the dresses for free. Sophie was a bit surprised at my brother's sudden change in behavior, but I wasn't. I knew my brother would never do something like that. She was disappointed that neither my brother nor my parents were supporting her, so after talking at length, she decided that she would cancel the after-party gown and only stick with the wedding gown, which would now be a body-fit gown instead of the previous ball gown that she wanted. This was a bit of a relief, to be honest, because, well, we were almost out of time and I had to make the wedding dress from scratch. I was expecting that at the end of the meeting, Sophie would agree to pay for the wedding dress and my handiwork, but she insisted that she could only pay for the fabric since she was almost exhausting her budget for the wedding. Sophie and I both knew that my brother would not agree to pay for the fabrics or the handiwork because he already told her to rent a cheaper wedding gown, which she would wear and return after the wedding. But Sophie insisted that she wanted her wedding to stand out. Then, as payment for my handiwork, Sophie told me that she would advertise the wedding gown on her wedding day, and that would be worth more than any payment because she was certain her wedding would go viral and it would be the talk of the town. Immediately after she said so, everyone looked in my direction and I didn't even know what to say. Initially, I told her I wanted payment in cash, not an advertisement because I would have to settle with people that would assist me in making the dress. But she insisted that it was all she could do for me, especially as I promised her I would make her a wedding dress. To be honest, I feel no obligation to make the stupid dress, and I'm not even interested anymore. She ruined the excitement with her drama and lies, and I wish she would listen to her husband-to-be and just rent a cheap gown. I told them I would think about the offer of making her wedding dress in exchange for an advertisement, which is also the same as, doing it for free. I wanted to share this here first just to get your thoughts, guys. My parents have been subtly telling me to do it for my brother, not for her. I still don't believe that Sophie has exhausted her budget for the wedding. She just does not want to pay me for my service. Update number 2. Hey guys, thank you for leaving your thoughts. Sorry it took a week to make another update. I need to think things through. First, I'd love to make it clear that my parents are not trying to manipulate me. They said that they had in mind, and it's totally up to me to decide if I'll make her the wedding dress or not. Anyways, I've decided that I will make the wedding dress, but this will be the last time I will ever make any dresses for free, for her. I know our relationship will not remain the same, and I'm not bothered about it. It's better to have a bad relationship with her than let her take advantage of me. Meanwhile, I've told everyone that I've agreed to make her the dress, and I'm currently waiting for her to release the money for the fabric. I agreed to make the dress 4 days ago, and I told everyone about it. Just yesterday, I called her to ask for the money, but she mentioned that she was waiting for one of the clients that she was influencing on Instagram to make their payment, and she would send me the full amount to go get the fabric and, well, get the stones. This morning, she dropped by our house while I was at work. She left me 4 times the amount we agreed on. When Sophie called to let me know that she had dropped the money with my mom, I didn't know that she had not dropped the whole amount for the fabric until I got home and asked my mom for the money. I've been calling Sophie nonstop since I got home to inquire why she did not drop the full amount of the money for the fabric, and she has not been taking my calls. The worst part is that she's currently active on WhatsApp. I can see it. She's been posting, but she's not responding to any of my messages. I don't understand why she's making this so difficult. What exactly does she expect me to do with the money that she's left? It's barely enough to get half of the fabric that she wants. Talk more about the stones? Well, I'll add to the whole upper part of her dress. My mom thinks I'm making it a big deal because I've been calling Sophie over and over, so I just stopped. Now to the main gist of the update. So last week, around the same time, Sophie told my parents and siblings that I refused to make her wedding dress for her. I noticed that my followers dropped badly on Facebook. Between Facebook and Instagram, Facebook was the platform where I had the most followers, and I have been putting content there almost every day to help build and increase my following. When this happened, I did not understand why my followers just suddenly dropped, and the clients who were supposed to get back to me stopped responding. 2 days ago, I found out that Sophie posted something about my brand on the day that she told my family I refused to make the dress. I would not even have known if I had not called one of my clients to find out why she's not responding. It turned out that Sophie blocked me on Facebook before she made the post, which explains why my followers dropped, because most of her fans followed me every time she advertised me. I have not told my parents about it, and Sophie does not know that I know. I'll just take it that she did it out of anger. But I can't ignore the fact that she's ruined my reputation by saying that I'm unreliable, that I cannot be entrusted with making important dresses, and so on. Do I confront Sophie about this, or do I stay quiet until after the wedding? Update number 3. Thank you all for your comments. I've delayed making this update because it's been a long time. That's right, 2 years since I told you guys that Sophie dropped only 1/3 of the money for the fabric. I was expecting that she would respond to me and we'd sort it out, but up to this time she has not. I stopped calling her because I felt I was bothering her too much, and I did not even bring up the issue with my mother or siblings again because I knew that they would say I was being too serious. After Sophie had been ignoring my calls and reading my WhatsApp messages without responding for nearly 2 weeks, she sent me a message last night. I had blocked her from viewing my WhatsApp status because I felt like doing that. When I saw her message notification, I read her messages and did not respond like someone here had told me to do. She sent 3 other messages and I did the same thing. I'm guessing it got to her because She called and was expecting me to take her calls, but I, quote, spoke her language. This morning, she came very early to my house to ask about my progress on her wedding dress and see what I had done so far. As soon as she said that, I went to bring her money in an envelope, and the same way she gave it to my mom. She was stunned. Even my mom was surprised that I had not made the dress yet, and I did not even bother explaining anything to anyone. I just went back to my room to prepare for work. Walking out of my mom's house with Sophie really made my mom mad, and she came to my room and absolutely screamed at me. She said that I've disrespected her and my dad by refusing to make Sophie's dress and that she was disappointed in me. I didn't even talk back to my mom because I knew we would end up fighting and that would ruin my day. I was also mad that she was siding with Sophie. Right now, as I make this update, the wedding's in 3 weeks and Sophie has everything else in place aside from her wedding gown. How funny. Well, while my mom yelled at me, Sophie made things worse with her emotional manipulation. She started crying and said that she could not believe that I would do such a thing to her. At this point, I could not hold my anger back, so I lashed out at her and said that she was the one who was making things difficult for herself. I asked her, where do you expect me to cough out $3,000 for the rest of the fabric and stones? When I said that, she stopped her fake tears and said that she would send me the rest of the money later this evening. Hopefully, if she sends the rest of the money, I'll go to the fabric store and try to hurry things up with the dress. I'll make another update soon, guys. Update number 4. Hey everyone, I can't begin to appreciate all the repeated leaving suggestions. So, Sophie's wedding was 3 days ago, right? So much has happened since my last update. Remember when I mentioned that Sophie said that she would send the rest of the money to me that evening? Well, she did. But she did not send everything. She sent $600. And she sent me a text saying that I should add my personal money just to get the expensive stones and fabric and that she would refund me after the wedding. Before she sent the money, she posted something on WhatsApp after she left the house. And I was so sure that she was referring to me, she said something about people abusing certain privileges and how she would cut ties with people after she's done with her wedding. Honestly, I could not wait because I was equally tired of her entitlement and manipulation. The thing is, I knew Sophie deliberately refused to give me the full amount of money. On a daily basis, she would post the stuff that she recently got on her WhatsApp. Well, her viewers could see the things and brands that she was using for the wedding. She even bought very expensive human hair for her wedding and posted the brands that would take care of her jewelry, shoes, and other little things. So, I made up my mind to make a wedding dress for her, but within her budget. I could only afford to buy one of those cheap, shiny bridal materials that most bridesmaids wear, and I managed to design her burst area with, well, cheap rubber stones. The irony of it all is that Sophie was not the one paying for the bridal's dress, and she contracted a different fashion designer to make all 6 dresses for her bridesmaids. I know the fashion designs really well, and they are not cheap. So, the reason I used the material was that she wanted a very long tail gown that would flow behind her as she walked down the aisle, and it was the only affordable fabric that could meet the specification. On my end, I did not allow her to come and try out the dress like she should have. I've been making dresses for her for years, and she just trusted me. Long story short, on her wedding day, I had the gown delivered to her while she was doing her makeup. I knew that she would call me the moment she received it, and she did. She called me screaming on the phone, absolutely livid, and she said that I've ruined the wedding. But by this time, it was already too late for her to think of something else. The church had begun, and my brother, her groom, and everyone else was waiting for her to arrive. I was also in the church waiting for her, LOL. Shortly after she called, she arrived, and the moment she walked in with her bridesmaid behind her, everyone gasped in shock. She looked horrible, and the disappointment of her face was evident. No one believed that she would wear something so ugly after all her bragging online. To crown it all off, Her bridesmaids looked better than she did, and instead of her becoming the center of attention, as she planned, she became the center of mockery at her own wedding. Indeed, her wedding went viral, and almost all of her online fans were disappointed. She was dragged, insulted, abused, humiliated, all on social media. To be honest, I felt so fulfilled after things turned out like that, and I knew I was in a deep mess with my family, but I did not let that ruin the moment I had at her wedding. After the wedding, every single person in the family refused to talk to me because they seriously just thought that I ruined Sophie's big day. I know they will get over it with time, and this will teach Sophie a lesson to never try to take advantage or manipulate people ever again. In anger, Sophie said that she would ruin my reputation with her influence. So, I'm not even bothered about that because I'll also be making a live video to tell the whole world who she really is. So, I'd say everything is square and even now, and this is it. Thank you all for your comments. I don't know what I would have done if I did not belong to this wonderful platform. You guys are the best.
Okay, let's talk about this story because it had so much juicy drama. First of all, I want to mention how the comments were saying how Sophie's families was being so ridiculous. At the end of the story, we learned how the family was not talking to OP because they think that she ruined Sophie's big wedding. Well, that was obviously not true. Sophie was giving her the runaround and literally wanted her to pay out of pocket just because she did a couple shout-outs for her on social media. Even the brother wasn't in agreement. But there was some comment saying OP should have just straight up gone to her brother and told him the exact scenario and he would have had her back. So let me know in the comments downstairs what you guys think and what action you would have taken. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every day. If you want to be a part of this, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you tomorrow. It's cool to be kind. See ya.